If you want to achieve lots of great things in web development, then learning basics is something which you must have to do. Without learning basics, you might be able to go ahead for some times in web development, because learning web development is not that much tough, and you can directly copy paste some code and build some website, and you can say that you know how to build websites. But the thing is, whenever you get hired or whenever you build some kind of project, there is high chance that without knowing the basics, you might get stuck at some point or other in the project life cycle. That is, you are building something and some small feature you need to implement there, and you will try to ask chat gpt or search in google that how to build it, and you might get the answer also. But at some or other point in time, you will be like, okay, I wanted this feature to be in this way, but I'm not able to find any kind of such code in online. And the reason why you won't be able to find such code online is you need to build that particular feature by yourself, and without knowing the basics, you won't be able to build that feature by yourself. So that's the problem with not knowing the basics. So I just encourage you that you need to learn the basics. So what are these basics which I'm talking about, which you need to know? First thing which I want you to learn is you need to know how to use one operating system, and how to install whatever the development environment you want to have in your system. For example, if you are coding using Django, and Django is one of the Python framework, so you need to know how to install the Python in your system. Without knowing how to install Python in your whatever the operating system you are using, then I don't think you wouldn't be able to even set up the Django. So once you know how to install the Python in your system and configure the Django framework in it, you should be knowing like how to proceed further, because you can go ahead and take some course, or you can directly go ahead and learn using documentation. So either way, you need to know what are those next steps in order to make sure that you will be able to do whatever you want to do. Whenever you do that, you will understand that, okay, this is how one framework works, and these are the things which are required in order to make that particular framework is installed and usable in your system. So there is that. Another thing is, in web development, you need to know how to work with HTML and CSS. The thing is, whenever you are coding something in web development, maybe React or maybe Node.js or maybe even Django or PHP with Laravel or whatever it is, you need to know basics of web development. Can be only learnt by knowing how to code using HTML, CSS, and maybe little bit of JavaScript in order to manipulate whatever the page you are building. So either way, knowing the basics of HTML and CSS will make sure that you will be able to achieve great things in web development. But you might be saying like, okay, I am developing just a mobile application, or I am just developing backend API. Yeah, sure. Whenever you are doing those things, you don't need HTML and CSS. But the thing is, in order to build some kind of UI, it's always preferred that you know how to build it using HTML and CSS, because all these mobile concepts, they use Flexbox, and whatever the API which you are building in the back end will obviously be run in front end only by some developer who is going to code the front end part of it. And what do you think front end is built using? It's built using HTML and CSS. So in order to learn HTML and CSS, of course there are so many free resources out there in YouTube and so many other platforms. I have made one beginner friendly course using HTML and CSS, that is web development basic using HTML and CSS. Go ahead and check it out in the description, so that you will be able to make sure you know basics of HTML and CSS at least before getting in some other field in software world. So either way, knowing HTML and CSS will make sure that you will be able to achieve lots of great things in this particular field. So once you are familiar with all these basic concepts, now it's time for you to build projects. Don't fall for those tutorial hell, meaning you are taking some course and once you took it, you just build whatever they teach you to build, and after that it's done. Don't be that kind of person. Once you learn something, make sure you implement whatever the project you are working on, or you build one new project without seeing the course. So either way, building projects will always make sure that you'll be able to get confidence. So that's why it's always preferred that you need to build projects rather just following some course or learning it. And last but not the least point which I want to highlight is you need to learn from errors. Meaning, once you are familiar with some programming basics, then HTML and CSS, and you are building whatever the project which you are building, then how do you learn it? You learn everything by seeing the error. Whenever you try to create some feature, you are going to get error. You copy paste that error in the Google, and or even nowadays people ask for Chat GPT. So whatever you do, you will learn from that particular error, and once you solve that error, it's always yours. Meaning, whenever you get that error in the future, you will know how to fix that particular thing, and that feeling itself is really great thing, because errors are the best teacher out there. Once you are familiar with the coding basics and like whatever the language you are learning, then errors are the only thing which are going to teach you how to move forward in the whatever the language or framework you are using. So it's always preferred that whenever you get error, don't be scared, just try to fix it, and once you fix it, you are going to feel amazing and you have learned something new from it. So that's it for this video, guys, and hopefully you like this kind of video. So hit that like button, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.